Longhorn fans still upset because they're behind Oregon. And it's
the
going to be
numbers
tough.
Back Texas. When you
the
look,
numbers do. The strength of schedule backs Texas. They
Quality
got more
wins.
quality wins. I agree. The committee's making a statement. Whatever it is, they're keeping Oregon ahead of Texas, and you're not going to leapfrog. Not enough time to leapfrog them, and you don't have enough kind of data hits, if you will, to boost you to leapfrog Oregon. So Oregon's got to lose. And if Oregon doesn't lose, Oregon's going to be in the college football playoff. I mean, that's just they control their own fate to a certain extent because they play Oregon State. Oregon State is a ranked team. That'll boost them up a little bit. And then they'll have Washington, assuming they beat Oregon State. And then Washington, the winner of that, is in.
Well, Rod, over the next 10 days, starting between now and a week from Saturday, 1 will play 8.
Mm-hmm.
2's going to play 3 Saturday. 4 is going to play 6. And 5 will play 10. So those 4 games will determine the Longhorns. Now, look, the Longhorns have 2 games. They've got to play number 7. Texas is number 7. They're going to play Texas Tech and then likely the number 20 team in the poll, Oklahoma State. And you're right, so the data points aren't there to earn a real quality win. Unless Oklahoma were to slip into the Big 12 championship game, if Oklahoma State were to stub their toe, then they could be just outside the top 10. And obviously, if the Longhorns could play Oklahoma and beat them in Arlington on December 2nd, that could avenge the only loss for Texas, which came at the buzzer.
Might mean a little something to the committee.
Might mean a little. Yeah. So the Longhorns are by no means out, but they're not. I mean, look, when 1 plays 8, I mean, here are the questions I have. If Georgia, who is 1, plays Alabama in the SEC title game, if Georgia wins that, they're in.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever wins 2 and 3, which is Michigan and Ohio State, whoever wins that will be in because they're going to trounce Iowa in the Big Ten championship game. 4 plays 6. That's Washington and Oregon.
Yeah.
And
so 3 spots are secured pretty much,
right,
conference-wise, right?
And if Oregon wins that and they're already ahead of Texas, they're going to stay and move up to 3.
Yeah.
And Washington will then fall. 5 plays 10. And as you said with us on our Longhorn live stream last night, and a lot of people have pointed out, Texas flat out needs Florida State to lose to Louisville.
Yes.
Or to Florida on Saturday.
They need Florida State to that. Yeah, because there's only, if you just look at it, there's only 1 spot. As you just broke it down, there's only 1 spot that's really open because basically the winner of those conference championships you just talked about, Pac-12, Big Ten, SEC, they look like they're in.
Unless there's a massive upset somewhere else.
Like I said, SEC is interesting if Bama beats Georgia.
Yeah.
Then things get interesting. And I guess if you're Texas now, you're hoping for that. Like that, at least that chaos. Now, they may pull a stunt and go, hell, we're putting both of them in, and then you're left out. But think about the chaos that would cause, and the precedent.
That would be a hell of a Sunday.
And the precedent you would set by just ignoring head-to-head, because that's what Texas has over Bama. If Bama
I would
wins.
think precedent that this committee has set, and I know it changes, year to year, but it's pretty much the same as last year's 13-person committee. If Alabama beats Georgia, let's play that scenario out in the SEC title game, and they very well could. I mean, Alabama's getting better. Jalen Miller's playing great.
Really well. Yeah.
That'll be a heck of a game. I would argue Alabama's in and Georgia's out. I mean, that's, Georgia because the conference.
The late loss.
And if the Longhorns win out, I think they award.
Does the manner of the loss, does the type of loss matter?
I don't think so.
Just an L?
I think there'll be an argument for Georgia because they've been number 1 for 30 weeks in a row and they're back-to-back champs. But about this year, I mean, I think the data point that would separate and put Texas in over Georgia is conference champion. I mean, conference champion. Alabama would be the SEC champ, Big Ten champion, Pac-12 champion, Big 12 champion. And that Big 12 champ earns their way in over Georgia because they beat Alabama, who took down Georgia. And that win over Alabama, still the best non-conference win of the year for any program and any team, will be the ace card. That'll be the trump. That'll be, all right, well, sorry, Georgia. Sucks to be you, but you should have won the SEC championship game. You're not a champion, and you're out. Now, can I guarantee that? Can we all sit here and bet our mortgages on that? No. I mean, the committee could certainly
do whatever they want to
lean in and do. But I do think, if and we said this over time here, if Texas were TCU in the same scenario, probably not. But Texas is Texas.
Yeah,
Texas does bring the brand. Yeah. Texas does bring eyeballs. So if you're into this is about TV ratings and popularity. This will be Texas doesn't trump Georgia, but they're right there. Maybe they do as far as an overall brand in college football and some new blood. Bringing another region into the college football playoff. You're going to get the South with Alabama. You got the Midwest with the Big Ten champ, the West Coast with the Pac-12 champ, and then Texas bringing the state of Texas.
That's why I think if you're Texas, you kind of root for chaos. Now helps you. You need more chaos. What hurts you?
Chalk hurts.
What hurts you? Yeah, exactly right. Is these teams who are already ahead of you continuing to win? That's what's kept you now at 7. At this point now, chaos can hurt you. Yeah, we just talked about. You said committee could decide, hell man, both of them, man. The SEC is king. That's what holds down. They could decide to do that and put if Bama upsets Georgia and put both of them in. I doubt it because that is a precedent I don't think they want to set by totally ignoring head to head. So if you're Texas, chaos in any of these scenarios is a good thing for you. Oregon State beating Washington, and then Oregon State beating Oregon, and then Oregon beating Washington. Also, chaos helps.
Chaos helps. Because look, the Big Ten champ is going to. They're not knowing neither Ohio State or Michigan are losing to Iowa. That's just not going to happen.
I don't see it, but Iowa's defense is really, really good.
It is.
They can't score.
But so is Michigan and Ohio State.
If Michigan, Ohio State scored 20 points, they win the game.
Yes.
No, that's actually true.
I mean, 20-3 will be the final score of that game potentially, but they'll win it.
Yeah.
So they're in. Obviously you could root for chaos this weekend, as you said. I mean, could Oregon State upset Oregon? Could Washington State upset Washington? Could one of those fall in the rivalry weekend? You never know.
Florida State going down by any means is great for you.
Yeah, but I will take your thoughts on that. I mean, the SEC conversation is big. I just think this is a year where it looks like it's going to play out that 4 conference champions will be in, whether they're undefeated or 1 loss. And that would negate a Georgia losing. And, and the other thing you root for, I mean, no one roots for injuries, but does the Jordan Travis injury – because they're coming in with a guy named Roadmaker. Roadmaker is going to be the quarterback for Florida State. Now, Florida State is playing Florida. Now, Florida for Billy Napier, not very good. Their defense is
hurt too.
Graham Mertz, their QB, is hurt. So, they're not what they have been, even as a bad team this year. But the game you look at for Florida State is Louisville. Because Louisville all of a sudden becomes an interesting team. They're number 10 in the country right now. They're a 1-loss team for Jeff Brom, and they very well could beat Florida State. We just don't know what this quarterback is. I mean, we saw Malik Murphy step in for Texas and win a couple of big games for the Longhorns when Quinn Ewers was hurt. This guy's got to do it. And then the argument becomes, Rod, if they win out, I mean, I'm assuming Florida State is in, but, with Roadmaker, are they better than a 1-loss Texas, who have both won conference champions, and Quinn Ewers is healthy? Those are, because their quest is to find the 4 best teams.
Yes.
Could you make an argument that even a 1-loss Texas team is better than an undefeated ACC champion without its quarterback going into the Final Four? That would also be, but I think that's a slight chance, right? I think they're not going to, derail. Obviously Travis had a chance to get back for those semifinal games, maybe, but he's out for the year. He had a severe compound fracture of his leg.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think as long as they keep winning, even though it's a reality that they are not better than a team like Texas, or even another team that'd be on the outside looking, even like in Oregon, is if they end up losing to Washington or say they're out with their starting quarterback. We all would know that, but I wonder how much of the meritocracy, right, of just going undefeated would grant them just automatic access to the college football playoff. That's usually been that's been the precedent, right? You undefeated, you coming from the Power 5 conference like the ACC, you're in, regardless of your circumstance. And we've seen Ohio State make it in with a backup quarterback. Hell, they won with a 3rd-string quarterback.
And here's what's odd for Texas fans who have a very strong argument that Texas should be ahead of Oregon. And as we sit here on this Wednesday morning, and everything we just said would play out, and Oregon could still play their way back ahead of Texas with the schedule they have, right? Oregon State and then Washington. If they had Texas at 6 right now and Oregon at 7, nobody would blink an eye because it would be there's the data to back that up.
Yep.
Oregon doesn't have a win as quality as Texas does on their resume. Texas has more ranked wins. Texas has a stronger strength of schedule. They're both 1-loss teams. The argument for me would be if Oregon had beaten Washington would be behind Texas as a 1-loss team, and they've played similar schedules. I just don't know what Oregon is getting. I know it's probably about the analytics.
Style points and analytics.
And Bo Nix, and they're offensively, defensively really good.
And if Bo Nix ends up winning the Heisman, being in a Heisman, like he's a Heisman, front runner right now, it's like him and Penix, I think.
Yeah. So, and that's the point for people. Well, I guess my point of that is fans getting all, bent out of shape about Oregon being ahead of Texas. It doesn't really matter. If they win out, they would have been ahead of you anyhow. You know what I mean? Because their loss was a narrow loss at Washington. And if they beat Oregon State and then then they go back and beat Washington in the Pac-12 title game, well, then they would have jumped Texas anyhow. Even if Texas were sitting here at 6 and Oregon at 7, they went out, they would have jumped over.
To boost them.
They would have ended up jumping Texas, I believe. So don't get all bent out of shape. But I understand the Longhorn fans saying that because they probably should be. in the end, it really doesn't matter. What you have to do is win your games, and as you said, hope for a little bit of chaos.
Yeah, just let the chips fall where they may. And we all admit we expected Texas to win the Big 12 title, not necessarily to win the national title, but they're ahead of schedule, and that's great. And I'm with you. I think right now it looks like there's going to be one spot open. Like, unless just chaos happens, which, like I said, I'm rooting for as a Longhorn fan because I think it helps the Longhorns. It'll be, one of those things where it'll be kind of a coin toss, whether it'll help them or hurt them if Bama wins or if Oregon gets upset by Oregon State. But I take that coin toss because right now, I'm starting to see there's a path to the playoff, but it's not a wide one. It's a narrow one. Unless you get chaos. If you get chaos, then that path widens.
Well, to the good part of that, I think for college football, it happens every year. I mean, it's rivalry weekend, throw out the records, all of that. These are in-state rivals. This is one of the best weekends of college football of the year because of that and the passion and the unpredictability of it. And then, conference championship games are neutral site situations. And, Florida State doesn't mean – look, the reason that there's a strong chance Florida State could lose is, Louisville's a good team. And they're getting better as the year goes for Jeff Brom, the young coach there. And Jordan Travis was the engine of their team. I mean, Jordan Travis was as important to their team as any quarterback in the country.
Agreed.
I mean, it's not like Florida State is Michigan where they just hand it off 45 times and they can just pound you into submission. Georgia, Florida State was kind of built around the playmaking ability of a 60-year senior quarterback. It would be similar to Washington or Oregon losing Bo Nix or Michael Penix at this point, right? I mean, this guy was huge. Yeah. So they actually could take a loss. That's realistic. And at that point, there's a spot wide open for you if you win out and win the Big 12. And then the rest of that will play out.